Hello, good morning. We are live. Happy Saturday to everyone. Thank you all so much for being here today. I really appreciate you all. As you know, we have a special guest in the house today, but I want to say hello to some people in the chat before we bring our special guest forward to talk to her today. Thank you, Donald Patterson. Hello to you, and thank you so much for coming in. Says, thank you for being you. I don't know if you were talking to me or talking to our special guest, but we both appreciate you. Thank you so much. And Lash's Journey says, I am here for it. So glad that you're here. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. If you all could do me a quick favor and share the live stream out, that would be fantastic. We want to make sure that as many people as wants this information gets this information. There are so many of us who really need it. And so we want to share this live stream out if you do not mind. Hello, Shaikira, G Tribe member. So good to see you. Always good to see you in the house. Thank you so much. If you will let everybody know that we are here and we are live and we have a special guest today. So we want to make sure that we give her a proper welcome into the G Tribe community. Miss Mary, hello, hello. This special guest is in the Tallahassee area. Miss Mary is also in the Tallahassee area. So I hope that maybe one day you get to say hello to each other, even today. Say hello to each other and make sure that we know some people that are in our own backyards. We have people all over the place, and sometimes we don't even know who we have available that can really be a great asset for us. So thank you so much. Good morning to you, my Renaissance grandma. How are you doing? I didn't ask you all, can y'all hear okay? Is the sound okay? Everything okay? Video is clear and not dragging like usual. I actually came to a Wi-Fi spot, aka my sister's house, to be able to do this live stream because, as y'all know, we are off grid, and so our live stream is not as reliable when we are using cell phone signals and things of that nature. That's why I have not been doing a whole lot of live streams with guests on because there's just a lot. There's a lot that happens, and needing a strong signal is one of those things that is just makes a great live stream. So hello to you, Yankee sister. How you doing? So good to see you up in the north. One of our other G Tribe members. Thank you so much. My Renaissance grandma, also a G Tribe member. Really, really appreciate you guys coming in and sharing out this video. So we won't tarry. When our guest is ready, just give me a thumbs up that you are ready. Everything is good on your end and you're ready to come up and give us some of this knowledge, honey. Give us some of this knowledge that you got. Good morning. Good morning. Black Coffee. How are you doing, sis? So good to see you in the chat this morning. I hope all is well. Hope your family is well. Thank you so much for coming in. We have a rainy Saturday here. So thank you coming in. I hope your weather is doing okay where you are. All right. Miss Kendalyn, if you are ready, just give me a thumbs up from the back and I will bring you up whenever you are ready. Thank you guys. Thank you for being here. And please go ahead and hit that thumbs up. If you in here, you coming to get this good information, go ahead and hit that thumbs up for us, okay? All right, let's bring Miss Kendalyn up.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Hello, hello. Unmute yourself. You're muted.
I'm muted. I don't.
I'm going to give you a minute. Just interrupt me whenever you can. G Tribe family, welcome Miss Kendalyn into the building. Welcome her. Let me make sure that you're not muted on my end. Yeah, it's on your end. If you're using a webcam, you may want to like check your settings. That may be. Oh, you all can hear her. I can't. Oh, thank D Jackson. Thank you, Miss My Renaissance Grandma. Thank you. Okay, hold on
Okay,
then.
because I was
Let me
like, it
check
doesn't
my
show that I'm
settings.
muted,
Give me just a
and I
second.
can't see that.
Ah, it was me.
Okay, good, because I was like, it doesn't show that I'm muted over here.
Okay, it was me the whole time. All
Okay,
right, sorry about that. Sorry
no
about that.
worries.
All right, great, great. Hi, Kendalyn.
Hi, good morning.
Good
Or
morning.
afternoon at this point, I assume. Yeah, we're in the afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yeah, I'm in the Central Time Zone, so
Okay.
yeah, so I'm still at 11 here. But thank you so much for agreeing to do this, for agreeing to come on. Um, I met you several years ago through my husband, as
Yes.
a matter of fact. and and guys, Kendalyn is actually a service center manager at a credit union here in Tallahassee. Well, they're in Tallahassee. And she has been a service center manager for how long, Kendalyn?
So I've been with my company since 2012. I started as the assistant manager, but I have been the service center manager since 2016. So rocking and rolling here.
Okay.
It's been
So,
great.
Kendalyn, so I know you went to college, got your BA. Tell us about your degree. Tell us about your background, what you went to college for, and how specifically did you end up in banking?
Okay. So it's actually a very unique story. So thank you all so much for being here. I am a little country girl from Wakulla. If anybody's familiar with Tallahassee and the surrounding areas, it's the county just south of Tallahassee or just south of Leon County. So I grew up, down there, and Tallahassee was like the city for us. It was like going to town.
That's
Coming to
right.
Tallahassee was like a thing. So really, I kind of stumbled into banking. My parents really drilled into me at an early age that it doesn't really matter what you do, just make sure you're doing something. They never said we had to go to college. They never said we had to do these things, but it was always a teaching or a mentoring of, make something of yourself, do something good, make sure that basically that they're not having to take care of us. So
Yeah.
that's the vibe that I got. So, and they just always instilled, my dad was an entrepreneur. He was a farmer, which is why I love both your page and your husband's page. So he was a farmer. So that's deep in my genes, and doing things that work for you. So really, I made the decision to go to college because I felt like that's what I wanted to do. And originally, I wanted to be a dentist because I grew up with a very pretty smile my whole life, but I always had like dental issues because I was a candy person. My grandma always let me eat whatever I wanted to eat. So anyway, short version, chemistry 2 happened, and I said, okay, that might not be where my spirit needs to go. So we didn't go that route.
Same.
Chemistry 2, my brain just, it couldn't get there. So
Chemistry
I
one
really
for me,
did
child. Chemistry one.
see, I struggled through chemistry 1, but it wasn't as bad. But once they started making me build molds, and I just, it was too much. So I really had like this really sit down moment with myself, so to speak, to ask myself, like, because I literally thought this is what I wanted to do my whole life growing up. So I was like, will you be disappointed if you're not a dentist? Like, will you think your life is over, if you're not? And I said, no, because I'm still me. I can still be successful. It doesn't have to be this thing that I thought I wanted to be when I was a kid. So in college, my dad, like I said, and my mom were very business-minded people. So I was like, okay, I'll just go to college for business. Like that, I felt like it was an overarching degree that I could pretty much do anything with. And so that's where I started. And through that journey, as we all know, when we're in college, you think you want to do something, then you don't, then you change your major and you change it back. So I did all of that. And it wasn't until I took a training and development class in the College of Business at Florida State that I was like, oh, this is where I want to be. So if you ask me if I want to be a teacher, I would definitely tell you no. I do not want to be in charge of adolescents or young minds and none of that. But I do have a drive and a passion for helping and teaching adults what I know and how to, navigate life the way that I see it. And I never, force my ideals on others or anything like that. I just kind of say, well, this is how I do it, and think about what makes you feel good, and kind of go from there. So that's really where the college degree came in. So I do have my BS in management with a concentration in HR, human resource management. And I like to joke that I manage humans and I manage resources. So I'm doing my So yeah, that's how. And then so I was working at Publix while I was at TCC, and I was like, I need a job that I can just sit down and do my homework at. I kind of want it to be, what do they call those? Like, I forget the name, where you work, but it's part of your degree. Not interns, but anyway, where you work study. I was looking at the work study thing and it wasn't working out. So anyway, I've signed up for this job. A lady admired my customer service skills at Publix and told me that they were hiring at SunTrust at the time. And the rest is history, so to speak. It kind of just clicked. Once I got into banking, I was like, oh, I understand this. I get this. I know what I'm doing here. And so it just honestly was one of those things of me taking life's journey and just following wherever I was going. And I kind of just landed here, so to speak. And then I just flourished in banking. So that's how I got here.
Wow. Oh, that is a fantastic story. That's a fantastic story. And it's great that, your father and your mother also gave you the opportunity to choose for yourself. And that's pretty much how we parent as well. We just try to make sure that, hey, whatever it is that you do, make sure that it's because you wanted to do it and not something that we're trying to force on you. Because the worst thing in the world for me is to have something forced on me that I don't even want. Exactly. So I assume that my children are the same. So they get to, and our daughter, one of our daughters is actually at Florida State. So she's a student there. Will be graduating hopefully within the next year. So yeah, we live in Florida State. Went to TCC myself before transferring to a 4-year. So, lots of stuff in common that we didn't even know about. Yeah. But I want to go ahead and get into, girl, listen, y'all, let me tell y'all about Miss Kendalyn and her husband, Russell. Okay. So Kendalyn is a landlord. Let me let you tell it. Kendalyn, tell our people tell us about the properties that you own currently.
Okay. So, as Ms. Gigi mentioned, I am married. So my husband and I, Russell, we actually met at TCC/Publix because we didn't realize that we were both at TCC at the same time, but we were working at Publix together, basically. So entertain the people at your job. Sometimes that could be your soulmate, okay? You never know. But we kind of, what we like to say, we grew up together, because I was 19 and he was 22. And so when we first started dating, and so we were just broke college kids living the dream, as they say at Florida State. They teach you that first day of orientation. If anybody asks you what you're doing, you tell them you're living the dream. So, and we just enjoyed life. And, one day we were talking, and so that's the other thing. So I'll get to this here in a second, but both of our set of parents had business minds and always drilled into us that no matter what happens in life, they're not going to make new land, right? So you can't just pop up and say, you know what, let's make a new plot of land over here. It doesn't happen. So they always instilled in us, my grandparents, his grandparents all have plenty of acres that they've divided up amongst, their kids. And so we always grew up with this real estate mindset, so to speak, but it was always from like a raw land standpoint. So as life goes and each generation gets better, you build upon what you know, right? So just through my networking circles and through college and things of that nature, we started to explore, what would it look like if we wanted to own something? And if we owned it, is it just for us? Did we want to be landlords? And it kind of just started as us buying our very first home in 2015. As a married couple, we bought a house and we were so happy with it, loved it, improved it, did all these amazing things to it. And as we started to grow in our careers and wanted to diversify our investments, that's when we really started looking into buying homes as an investment tool. So in 2020, believe it or not, in the midst of COVID, we became landlords. So we're looking and working with our realtor. So always, and that's sidebar, we'll get more into it here, I'm sure. But sidebar, always make sure that you're consulting with professionals about whatever it is that you're getting into, because I may know something, but I don't know everything. So even though I'm in banking, I don't know everything about banking. I don't know every aspect of banking. So I always like to communicate and converse with people that's their thing. Like if that's your niche, let's talk about it. Let's see what we can do. So we were looking into, becoming landlords and really just found an amazing property that already had tenants in it, thank God, and they're still there. So we appreciate them every day. And so they're really great. And honestly, that is, to me, a landlord's dream, is to have amazing tenants. And honestly, it was my prayer. I am very deep in faith, and I pray about everything and don't ever want to make a step that's not ordered. So as I was praying about any business venture that I get into, I always make sure that I pray about the whole venture. Like I don't want the blessing without the way to keep the blessing, if that makes sense. So
that part.
I prayed about if I get this house, if this house works out for us and it's in this amazing area, I also want amazing stress-free tenants. I also want them to pay their rent on time every month. Like I'm very intentional with my prayers. So I'm very grateful for how that worked out. So that is how we got into it. And my husband, I always say he's the visionary and I'm the action person. So he comes up with all the harebrained ideas, right? And stresses me out because he's always like, what about this way to make money? What about this way to make money? And I'm like, calm down. So then in 2021, we went on an amazing trip to Cashiers, North Carolina. I don't know if you've ever been. We thought it was Cashiers because that's what it spelled like a cashier at the grocery store. But we learned very quickly that it's Cashiers. And we got snowed in one day and stumbled upon the Great Outdoors channel or something. And they were talking about RVs and travel trailers and all the things. And so then we extended our landlordship into short-term rentals and got a travel trailer that we rent out as well for short-term rentals. And
that, you know what, and you hit on several things. The first and most important to me is one of the things I wrote down to mention to you was that if I were to do this all over again, if I were to start over just from age 21, buying the first home, the thing that I would do differently is that I would be a homeowner and a landlord at the same time.
I say that if I could go back, I would change that as well.
Yep, I would have gone into buying either a triplex or a quad and live in one, rent the rest. That is the one thing in life that I said, okay, if I could do it over again, if I had to do it all over again with the knowledge that I have now, I would absolutely be that homeowner landlord all in the first purchase. Because what happens is when you get a home, it's not an asset for you. I know, some people have been like, that's a lie. It is an asset. It is absolutely a liability until it is making money for you. So, talk a little bit to that, to people who want to go into buying a property that, like you did, that already has tenants in it, or one that they can turn into a property that is an income producing property. Talk to us a little bit about how can someone get into that? Is it different from buying, getting the financing to buy an income producing property than it is for a first time home buyer, for example?
Okay. Yes, for sure. So the reason that we say we'll go back and do it differently is because of the fact that, as you mentioned, your home is a liability for you until it's not, right? Until you get to that point where you have a lot of equity or you're able to use it as an income producing machine. So I always recommend and operate from the standpoint of go into your purchase as a first-time home buyer and not as an investor.
Okay.
For your first time. And I say that even if you're not a first-time home buyer, still go into it as your primary residence, because that's going to save you a lot of money for your down payment. So whenever it's your primary home, it changes the game completely, right? That's where you plan to live. That's where you will have your homestead, so to speak. And if you live in Florida, I'm speaking from Florida because that's where I live. So if you don't live here, you'll have to look at your state's tax advantages and things of that nature. But typically when you do your primary home buying process, your down payment is going to be anywhere between 3 to 5%. And depending on any type of loan programs that you may qualify for, VA, USDA, first-time home buyers, you could potentially come out of pocket paying nothing. So it really just depends on the program that you go into and things of that nature. But the reason that you want it to be, so let's say I'm very brand new, I'm renting or I'm staying at home with my parents, I'm about to graduate college, I'm ready to buy something, but I also want to be able to make money from this property as well. So you could potentially, especially if you're young and don't have kids, don't have anything that will interfere with someone else staying with you, you could buy a traditional single family home with the ideal of renting out half of that home to your best friend or someone else. Always get a contract. Never, ever, ever let somebody stay in your house without a written and signed contract, okay? Mm-hmm. But that's neither here nor there. We'll talk about that if we want to get more details on that. But, even if it's just a traditional single family home, you can do that. Again, you have only that 3 to 5% down, depending on the type of loan product that you have. And then in essence, depending on where you live, the property values, what going rent is, things of that nature, your roommate or your tenant, because they are technically a tenant at that point if they're paying you rent, could potentially pay for half or more of your mortgage, depending on your interest rate, what you purchased the home for, things of that nature. Now, let's say you are in a, committed relationship or you got kids, or you just really don't want to live under the same roof with somebody else, then you would want to look into a duplex or a triplex or a quad. A duplex is going to be typically the most cost-effective way to get into both living and being a landlord at the same time, because you would live on one half, rent out the other half. The reason that the duplex as your first purchase is a game changer is because you only have to live in that house for 2 years. Sometimes in most situations, maybe even only 1 year before you can then move out and then get 2 tenants into your property.
And explain why that is to the audience. Lash's journey here in our audience. She is a realtor. So
Okay.
she's saying that you're giving some great information here. So explain to us the advantages, the disadvantages, capital gains. Like explain to us why that is that you want to do what you just said.
So the main reason that you want to do that, the initial reason, as I mentioned, is to save that money on the down payment. So when Russell and I bought our investment property in 2020, we had to pay 20% of the purchase price as a down payment because it was an investment property. We would never live there. We would never, it wasn't ours. And the bank knew that it was never going to be a situation of, that being our home. So 20% we had to give the bank off the top plus closing costs. But let's say I go with the duplex option, right? I qualify for first-time home buyers, so I'm giving them 3%. So you just saved all that down payment money, and you could potentially, like I said, save even more depending on what you qualify for, what your lender's offering, things of that nature. And then you live in that other half. You have the time now to collect rent. So that's income that you're going to receive into your home, into your assets. And then you're building that time at that residence. So it's building your how long you stayed there. So your residency status. So then when you get ready to move, so to speak, you don't have to sell that property. You don't have to do anything. You could just rent it out. And therefore you now have the renters on both sides. You're earning double income. And then you're able to count the rental income as income to purchase your next property. So therefore your income is higher and you could qualify for a larger purchase on your next home.
I hope y'all caught that game. I really hope you caught that game. If you're watching the replay and you caught that game, put it in the comment section that you caught that, because she just gave you some stuff that's some life-changing stuff right there. Kendalyn, I'm sorry, were you done? Did I just interrupt you?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So you talked about, you have the properties, you have the travel trailer. Let's get into this Airbnb.
Yes.
I learned the last time we talked that you have an Airbnb. So let's get into that. Let's talk about, how did you get into the Airbnb space?
So the Airbnb thing came really because Russell and I love to travel. That's something that we love to do. Even when we were broke college kids, if it was just a weekend trip to the beach, eating sandwiches, we were having fun, So traveling, staying at Airbnbs, we were like, so these people are making money just by letting somebody stay in their house for like a couple days. So we're always of the business mindset. We're always thinking about ways that we can increase our wealth and build that, nest egg for ourselves. So I have a friend that started an Airbnb a while back, and she was telling me about it. And she was like, girl, I'm making like all this money. And she had me at money, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I am money motivated. You tell Kendalyn it's a little incentive coming. I'm like, okay, what I got to do to get the incentive? So I'm going to do everything that's legal to get me some extra money. Okay. So, I started exploring the option. My husband and I honestly were feeling like we were starting to outgrow, even though it's just the two of us and a cat, girl. We were starting to outgrow the home that we were living in. And it's really, really nice because, I decorated it and stuff, and we made it look nice and all that. And really, when we started looking at the potential of buying a new primary property, Airbnb was just the first thing that we thought about. We didn't see the point, honestly, of doing long-term rentals, because at the end of the day, at any point in time, we can convert this home to a long-term rental. Every market is growing. Florida has, yes, ma'am, make that money. Florida has literally 1,100 people a day moving into it. So there are always going to be people who need housing, people who need places to stay, people who travel here. We still have a very high tourism rate in Florida. So like I said, it was just like the next thing to do for us. It just felt like the next logical step. Russell is the researcher in the family, in the business. So he started doing research and seeing what the overhead would look like, seeing what, because that's another thing to consider, sidebar, and I'll get more details about the Airbnb and how we got there. But that's something else you have to consider when you are doing a short-term rental. Everything is on you cost-wise. So that's something that you have to make sure that you are prepared to take on. And by everything, I mean the mortgage, the utilities, the internet, the cleaners, unless you plan to clean it yourself. We did that literally the first 2 turns, and I said, no, I'm not doing this ever again. and I meant that with everything in me, because you just never, no. So I said, no, let's just go ahead and pay somebody to do this this is their passion and their job. So, so you have to consider that when you go into it. And that's something that we went into, and every business venture that we go into it eyes wide open. And you have to know, you have to be prepared to cover the cost in the event that your business will not cover the cost. So that being said, yes, as we prepared to start looking for another home, we started the process of doing more research, talking to local Airbnb hosts. And actually, one of the things that really opened my eyes to the possibility with the Airbnb is when we bought the travel trailer. I posted about it on Facebook. So always use your networks, people, because they work, okay? I literally just posted saying, have you guys ever heard of Outdoorsy? And I was like, it's like Airbnb, but it's for a travel trailer. So I was just self-promoting the travel trailer to get people interested and know that that's what we were offering. And a lady that started a Airbnb host group here in Tallahassee invited me to that group on Facebook. So being part of that group, I was able to see what they were talking about and see what type of questions they were asking and getting this knowledge from them. So I was actually able to kind of do some groundwork before even going into the business. So once we found the home that we're in now, we made the decision to literally leave everything at that house. Because a lot of the furniture that we had bought was custom for that house. And it just made sense to leave the stuff where the money was going to be made. And so we had a handy woman come in. One of my old employees decided to follow her passion to go to Lively and do the construction and electrical program out there. And so we had her come in and just do little repairs, because when you live in your home for forever, little things happen. Y'all know that. So we had to touch up paint, do different things like that. Made it live on Airbnb, and literally we didn't know, and then woke up the next morning. Location is key. We woke up the next morning to several people had already booked, and we were like, wait, what? Whoa. So it was just one of those things where it kind of was a faith move, and God delivered. I honestly don't know any other way to say it. So yeah, it's been amazing. We started the Airbnb in April of last year. We had our first guests for I guess that would be spring graduation of 2022. We became super hosts in July of 2022, and we've been super hosts ever since.
Wow. So on Airbnb, do you have just a home, or are you able to put RVs on Airbnb as well? Or do you have to use those sites such as Outdoorsy and a couple of the other ones that I've seen? I didn't even know these sites were available. I knew nothing about this life until we were, forced to go and buy this RV and actually be living in it full time. And that's how I actually found the RV park that we were living at for a few months, after. I'm sure you know the story, how the day before closing, our house, we didn't get the land. the day before closing, literally. And so we were selling our home. We were buying a land. It was supposed to be, a simultaneous type of
Right.
thing. And then, we found out that, our house was fine. It was still going to sell, but the land that we were supposed to be going to with our family and our chickens who were in the U-Haul, we had to find some other arrangements. So we ended up in a couple of days going to buy the RV and a truck, because we didn't even we had an SUV, but not even a truck at the time.
Right.
So it was just one of those things. So tell us a little bit about that, what all Airbnb allows in terms of what type of living arrangements they allow on their platform.
So Airbnb is actually a very flexible and user-friendly platform. You can list other things. So actually, I have the travel trailer as tentative on there. And I say tentative because I don't know if I want the people to like come to my house to stay in the RV. So that's the only reason I'm kind of like, ugh. Okay. So right now, and to let you guys know what I'm saying here. So right now we have the RV, the travel trailer listed on RVZ, which is like RVEZ, and then Outdoorsy. Those two platforms are strictly for RVs, travel trailers, fifth wheels, things like that. People to pick up, take wherever they go across the country, whatever. Honestly, the majority of our business for the travel trailer is during football season for tailgating. We get a lot of weekend tailgaters for the travel trailer. And for like little events like dog shows and stuff like that at the Civic Center, the fairgrounds. Okay. So those platforms are specifically for that. Airbnb actually is very unique and quirky. They love little unique things. So they love for you to be able to offer, if you have a tree house, if you have a tent, like somehow people have like tent gardens, or if you had like an RV park or something like that, they would definitely allow you to post different things. One of the main reasons too that I love Airbnb is because their percentage that they take from the hosts is much smaller than the percentage that Outdoorsy and them take. So prime example, Outdoorsy takes like 20%. And Airbnb only takes 3%. So,
whoa!
I'll take the 3%. So,
for 500, Alex.
Well, like there's no questions asked on that. That's pretty much. So that's what I love about it. And so, if I were to post, or it's already out there, but if I were to make the travel trailer live on Airbnb, then that means that the people would come to my house where we currently live and then stay in the RV, and it's honestly not truly a problem because our RV is parked under our pole barn, which is like off to the side of the house. But we have a pool and a couple other little things. And so I'm like, I don't know if I want them in my pool because that's a whole nother level of liability. And so, it's just too many moving parts with that. So that's why I haven't made it live. But yes, Airbnb does give you the ability, especially once you all build, for example, if you wanted to start using the travel trailer or your RV for income producing, I would recommend that you put it on Airbnb versus the others just because of the percentage.
Yeah. We were looking into a RV park, trying to check with the county to see if we were able to actually do an RV park out on our land. But we live about a half mile
too far
to be able to do the RV park down the graded road, down the dirt road. So while we love the Dirt Road Chronicles, the county is like, okay, you almost you're just a little bit too far, and they have to stick with the rules or whatever. But we can do a campground. We can do some other things. We can do rentals and all of that type of stuff.
Right.
So yeah, it's definitely something that we have been looking into. and definitely have moved more, into the investor space now. And I don't know if you knew, but I was a former realtor as well, working
Oh
for
no,
Malasa here
I didn't know that.
locally. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Back in Jesus, it's been a long time. The early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't continue in that line of work, obviously, but I saw a whole different space in on the rental side of things
Yes.
versus having to be out there in the street every day, and dealing with those buyers. Jesus, them buyers, having to deal with them buyers. It
Yeah.
was a lot. I didn't have as much, with my sellers. Like the sellers was
Sellers
fine.
are typically easier.
They're much easier, but the buyer thing. And then I got pregnant with my last child, and so I was out there in my high heels and almost 8 months pregnant and still working. And my husband was like, "Look at here now,
Sit down.
enough is enough." And so I decided, after I had that child, not to go back into it on that side. But since then, we've just been, just on the investment side of things. That's why I wanted to talk more about this, because I want people to know that you don't have to be rich people to get into the game, but you absolutely, if you want anything comfortable in life, you got to get in the game.
You have to. And you definitely do not have to be rich to get into the game. You just have to be wise with your finances. Honestly, lenders, especially mortgage lenders, love, 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 love a W-2 employee. Like if you can provide your W-2, those are like the best people in the world, because
Absolutely.
it just it's no well, are they gonna make this much? Is this really the amount they make? It's just a lot. And so the thing that I always say, going back to buyers and sellers, and also with lenders and stuff like that, even when you have everything together too, I want you guys to know that the process is never, ever, ever super seamless. It always is going to have a little bit of drama in there. It's going to be a little bit of, Lord, is this the right move? If it's not for me, block the road kind of thing. Because it is frustrating. Like when we bought our first house, I seriously felt like it could have been an episode on some type of like HGTV show with the going back and forth, because we ended up buying a short sale.
Okay.
So it was like all this stuff, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And so even like I said, even when we have it all together, just the inspections and it's a lot of little costs that come with these things, but as long as you know up front what's expected, you have your money in order, then there are options for you. Another thing that we did, that a lot of people don't take advantage of, is when we bought our very first home, we actually took out a loan against our 401k to use as our down payment. And I would never, and please listen to me, never, ever, ever take out a loan against your 401k for something that's not going to give you a positive return. Okay. Do not take money out of your 401k to pay off credit cards. Do not do that, because you're going to use the credit cards again. People do it all the time. You know what I'm saying? But we looked at that as an investment for an investment, so we took the little money. I think it was like $10,000, because that's the other thing. We always bought cheap homes in the beginning, cheap in price, but not cheap in quality, So that's another thing. You don't have to go, as my grandma used to say, high on the hog on your first round. You know what I'm saying? Until we bought this house, we've never bought a house over $90,000 until we bought this house that we're currently living in. And so I tell people all the time, like, just know that a house is an investment and something that you can make better. So our very first home, we knew that it needed improvements. We knew that it needed things. So we started talking to people about, are there mortgages options out here? Can I get a home equity loan? So, because that's what I was thinking. I was like, okay, home equity loans, I know about those. That's something we could do. Come to find out, which of course I know about now, but back then I didn't, is the 203K loan, which is a renovation mortgage. You can qualify for that as a first-time home buyer. And then the lender with the contractor, they work together and they go in and they see what's necessities. Like, is your roof bad? Do you need solid foundation? Do you need new windows? Like, whatever the necessities are, they take care of those first. So there are different things, which is why I say always make sure that you're consulting with people who actually know that area of expertise. You know what I'm saying? Like, you wouldn't go to an orthodontist if your foot hurt. So, don't go talking to the mechanic if you're trying to buy a house, So I'm not saying that the mechanic can't give you information. I'm not saying that at all. Everybody has something to offer. So get what you can from who's giving you the information, but do your due diligence of fact checking and verifying that information with the experts and the people that can help you get it.
Absolutely, because we are in the era of people loving to go to somebody that don't know nothing about nothing for some reason, and then they take it as this is the gospel. So Thank you for saying that. Thank you for bringing that point home. So talk a little bit about for someone who does not mind going into debt, does not mind having the mortgage. There is, like, there's poor people, there's middle class people, and then there's some other people that's up there in the sky, who are not afraid of debt at all. Mm-hmm. They ain't afraid of it. Mm-hmm. You have your Susies, you have your Susie Ormans that is going to tell you some stuff about getting your credit straight and all of this and stuff. Then you have the Dave Ramseys who's going to be on the debt-free kick. Make sure that, you are paying things with cash. And then you have those who are investors, in a sense, who are just like, listen, on the investment side of things, I can keep all of my personal stuff low. I can keep my credit cards low. I can keep, I can drive an old car. I can this and I can that. But then when it comes to, I need to bring some money back in, I got to kind of let that go, because I'm going to have to be on the investment side of things. And I'm going to have to think like the rich if I'm going to make some money. So talk a little bit about that. What does it take in terms of getting your credit? Credit is so important. Mm-hmm. I don't care if you don't use it often, et cetera, et cetera. Talk about how important it is to at least have that basic thing in line before they come to an establishment like yours asking for money.
Okay. So we all know that credit is important. And if anybody tells you that it's not, don't listen to them. Because that's how, honestly, until America changes the structure, that's what matters. Mm-hmm. To speak on the debt thing and the cash thing and the Dave Ramsey versus Susie, or I feel like it's very much how we treat our health, right? Yes, you could have the cookie, but should you have 12? Probably not. Yes, you can have a little bit of debt. Should you have 12 credit cards maxed out? Probably not, right? So it's about just knowing and utilizing those things to your advantage. And I say that because the people who come to me and say, oh, I don't have any debt. I've never used my credit. I should be perfect. I make all this money and you guys should trust me with this loan. We'll probably be like, or not, because we don't know you. We don't know anything about you. Your credit history, even though you paid everything in cash, the credit report is quite literally like a profile, like your Facebook profile or your whatever profile. To the creditors, we can look at your profile and we can tell where you've worked, how long you worked there, what addresses you've been at. We can see how much debt you've had. We can see how many people pulled your credit, how often you've had your credit. We can see pretty much everything. And so if you come into us and you have nothing out there, we're kind of like, especially depending on your age. If you're fresh out of high school, fresh out of college, we might be like, oh, okay, I get it. But if you're 35, 40, 50, and you don't have any debt, we're kind of looking at you like, well, where have you been? What have you been doing? And so it may honestly be harder for you to get a loan. Mm-hmm. Also, even though credit is important, having an excellent credit score is not the end all be all to you getting what you need. I say that because there have been times where I've had to decline a 750 credit score for a personal loan because they're overutilized, which means, yeah, you pay everybody perfect, but baby, you are skin and bones at this point. Like you are literally to your max. Like if I give you this loan, there's absolutely no way you're going to be able to continue to make these payments based on the information that you've provided, you know? And so there could be someone, you know, that comes in with that 699 score and they're like, oh, my credit is so bad, you know, and I don't know. And then I can easily give them a loan because they have paid well. Yeah, okay, they had a late payment here or there. So it's just important to know that when you go for a mortgage, also be prepared. This probably outside of giving birth, I've never had children, so I don't know, but it's probably like the most invasive process you're going to experience.
Yeah.
Okay. When you get a mortgage, we're going to be all up in your business and we're going to want to know who, what, where, when, why, and how. So be prepared for that. A lot of people get caught up like, well, why do they want to know all this? And that has nothing to do with this. And it really does. And it's really because the government has had to make sure for the protection of the consumer that they put things in place so that banks can't do predatory lending. We can't just give anybody a mortgage with a crazy rate that's adjustable that they won't be able to afford in 10 years or 2 years, sometimes a year later, you know? So just be prepared for that, but also know that, you know, it is all based on how you've paid, how things look. So going to someone early in your process to kind of get a general idea of like, let's say, you know, right now today that you want to buy a house, but you also know right now today that your credit's not where it needs to be or your money isn't where it needs to be. Go to someone, have them pull your credit for an application so that way they can see where you truly are and give you the advice to help you build up. Pay off these credit cards, dispute this thing if that's not what, you know, dispute this charge if that's not what it was, or, you know, make sure you pay these things on time. Maybe refinance this auto to get a lower monthly payment so that everything can be in line. You know, so sometimes, like I said, the process is not going to be like, oh, I want a house, boom, I got the house. No, sometimes you got to go, you know, to get to that step. So
yeah,
I think that
more than not, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, more than
and like
not.
I said, like I'm in the industry. We have our things together. I make sure that all of our money goes into an account. Everything's trackable. I very rarely operate in cash, things of that nature. But the process is still never just, that was easy, you know, it still is something, you know, inspections come back, things come up that you didn't expect, or you may have to renegotiate your price. You may have to walk away. And sometimes being willing to walk away could save you money, could save you heartache, save you really.
Yeah, we actually had one of those issues. Black coffee, thank you so much. I appreciate you, sis. Thank you. We had one of those issues where we decided to just walk away because getting into the process, I realized that I don't like this lender at all. I don't like them. I don't like the way that they move. By this point, we had already bought maybe 3 properties by that point, you know, going into that one. And I realized I did not like them and I did not want to do business with them at all. And then the second thing was I didn't like the location from the jump. And I knew I didn't like the location, but I was compromising on that. And I knew better. I had been a realtor. I knew better than that. But it would have been so convenient for what we were trying to do, where we were trying to go in life, that I compromised. And then I ended up walking away, leaving no money on the table. We had done inspections. We had done we're pretty much done everything. And I said, and it just didn't sit right with me. It wasn't right. And I was like, I can't do it. And so I was talking to the lender and I was like, I don't even want to do this anymore. And he was like, you realize that you're going to lose this money, right? And I was like, yeah, I realize I'm going to lose it. And that was fine with me. That was perfectly fine with me, because going into that particular property would have cost me more in the long run than time, energy, safety, all of that stuff. It would have cost me some stuff that I was not willing to give up. And so we went on and, recovered pretty quickly because we understood the assignment that, listen, we got to go ahead and get out of this apartment, because we were in an apartment at the time. We were recovering from having had a foreclosure. And a couple of years of, we had to get right. We took about maybe 3 years, 2.5 to 3 years to get ourselves back on track. So when I tell you that we've done some stuff, we've seen some stuff, and we've really, this thing has been a journey for us to get to the 20-acre point. And so, a lot of people are talking, and they want to be a landowner. There are a whole lot of us who have not even gone into first time home ownership yet. And because they don't want the work. This is what I hear.
Right.
They don't want the work. They don't want to have to pay for repairs when they're making a payment on the home. This is why it's so important, to get the best interest rates that you can. When the interest rates were all fantastic and we had that 3.5% or 4%, like them days are a little bit behind us.
They are, but I don't think that it's like, I was talking to my cousin about it the other day. You have to be okay with dating the rate, but marrying the house. Okay? That's what we say. Date the rate, but marry the house. So it's always a good time to buy real estate, right? Yes. It's always a good time. If you have the money, if you have the capacity, if you have the ability, this is what you want, of course, then go ahead and do it. Because honestly, interest rates, we don't foresee them going down anytime soon. We do potentially see that they may do it, around re-election, because that's what everybody does to make things look good, just so we'll vote for them and have that temporary amnesia. But when I first started out in banking, I actually started out in banking in 2005. Interest rates were in the high 9s, 10% on mortgages. And people forget that, that it was that bad then because of how great rates have been for so long. So my biggest thing, especially for us state of Florida people, is that once you buy your house, your mortgage payment is a fixed payment. Like, that's just what it is. But you do have to be aware that property taxes and insurance could potentially go up. So there is still a potential that your monthly payment could go up. So those are all things that you want to factor in. And I said that about the state of Florida people just because insurance in our state right now is in turmoil. We don't really, we have insurance companies completely leaving the state. We have some that we know will go bankrupt because of all of the damage from the past couple of storms. So those are all things that I get why, some people are like, no, I don't want to be a homeowner, but we're also in a rent crisis. For sure, I told my renters, I told them straight up, I was like, look, I can't give you definites. Nothing in life is definite. So I can't say for sure, but I do not plan to raise their rent next year because I don't need to, for one. And I get that, there are some people, landlords, that are going to say, well, if Joe down the street charging $1,500 a month, I'm going to do it too, which I understand if that's what your area supports. But we also have to think about the people who we're pricing out. Like, we, as landlords, in my personal opinion, have a responsibility to the people in our community to not price them out. Because, also I hear in our community frustration and short tempers towards the homeless community, but then
what are they supposed to do?
What are they supposed to do? They're still human beings that don't have a place to live. And yes, some of them choose it, but some of them do not. And so anyway, that's a whole nother live and a whole nother topic. But I do think it's important to always do what you want, because at the end of the day, if you don't want to be a homeowner, then you don't have to. Some
Right.
people are perfectly okay renting forever. And as a landlord, I love you guys for it.
I
So
love
I'm not
them
mad.
too, let me tell you, because I'm gonna be looking for y'all.
Right. So I just always say, just do whatever makes you feel good, but don't feel that you have to be stuck renting or stuck doing something just because of the interest rate market right now. Because
Yeah, because when we went into our first home, sorry to interrupt,
no
Kendalyn.
worries.
When we bought our first home, we paid 7.8%, I believe it was,
Mm-hmm.
on our first home. And so, for us, it was a low cost home, like less than 80,000 probably. And so our payment was still the exact same thing that we were paying for our rent.
Right.
So for us, it just made sense. And then when we got to the point, several years into that, when we got ready to sell, it was not a seller's market at the time. And so we ended up renting the house out before we eventually, had that house renting. We built a house, and then we had to sell because obviously, when the renter left, it was time for us to sell the property instead of, and it was in a totally different state. So for us, it just worked out. Bell's Backyard Garden, thank you so much. I appreciate the super chat. Says great discussion. I'm in the bleachers listening. Thank you for this. You are quite welcome. Thank you so much. We had a question from.
While you pull that up, I was gonna say as well, as an investor, it's also very important to not get emotionally attached to your investments. And I say that because if you, let's say, go with the duplex scenario that we gave earlier, and you fall in love with this house and it's like the most amazing thing ever, and you're not going to want to leave. So therefore you're not going to be able to make that money, or you're not going to want to sell. Going into an investment property, honestly, the house that we're in right now, I have decided not to get emotionally attached to it, because we do potentially one day plan to sell it. We do plan to be here 10, 15 years. So it's not like I'm trying to quickly turn it, but you know how it is. As you plant roots in a place, you get attached to the place. So just keep that in mind if your true goal is to be an investor. But if you just want to buy a home, then fall in love with your house.
Yeah. And so Veggie Farming wanted to know about using a property manager. Do you use outside property managers for your properties, or are you still at the point where you're handling it all yourself?
I'm at the point now where I'm still doing it myself. If I were to add anything else, I would definitely move it to someone else if I'm in the same capacity that I am with my job, if that makes sense. So I have a very demanding career. And also, I love my family, and I also love my free time. So I prioritize the things that matter to me. So people always like, oh, but you take all these vacations and trips. Yep, because that's a priority. It's necessary for my mental health.
Absolutely a priority.
Yep. I work hard, so
we got to do it. We have to do it.
You have to make time.
So hard, and we've been on this land for a year now. We have been working our tails off, not being able to do exactly what we want to do. But that's why you set your foundation in order so that you can start doing what you want to do versus what you have to do. So being comfortable now, we in AC now.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, just bought a portable AC for the cabin. When Prime Day happened, I was on it. I was shopping like a mad woman. Because I had been doing all of the responsible stuff. I had been doing the adulting. And so I was like, okay, let me shop a little bit. But here's the thing. You have a lot of people who like cars. And so every 2 years they switch.
Right.
They put their money into the cars. And you have a lot of people who like Prada and Gucci and all of that stuff, and they put a lot of money into that. You won't see mine. All you'll see is some merch, and you'll see this cabin getting built. You'll see us buying land. You'll see that type of thing. So you can't really just kind of, be like, okay, this walking flaunt. But we are so much freer with not having to concern ourselves about how the insurance company did us before we left. We had one insurance company from our last home to go insolvent. So we were just kind of like, okay, what do we have to do? And that was one of the things that made us like, okay, we definitely want to take a little time and be free. Take a little time and have some debt-free time, have some income producing property, make this an income producing property, what have you, so that we'll be sure that we can travel, that we can start to spend more time with our families, etc. So that's where we are at this point, is making sure that we are comfortable in our space, and then making sure that we also are able to do what we want to do. Kendalyn, you still there? Because you look frozen to me. Hold on. Okay. We lost Kendalyn there for a minute. So let me talk to y'all for a minute. How you doing, everybody? Good to see you. Nikki, I see you popped in. Everyday Life of an OCD-ish Chick. How are you doing today? Fifi's Journey, thank you so much for being here, sis. Good to see you. Thank you so much. Who was that? Triple Threat, how you doing? Good to see you. We're going to wait on her to come back in. She had some issues on her end. It wasn't me this time, y'all. It wasn't me this time. Bell's Backyard Garden, great to see you in the chat. I know you're in the bushes. It's gardening time. Hello. How are you doing? So good to see you pop in today. Thank you so much for being here. Let's see who else came in and more questions. We have question, first time homeowner in my family generation. Congratulations on that. Want to think towards willing towards my 2 children. I used a VA. Any thoughts? I am doing my research. All right, let me save your comment. And then when she comes back in, we will see. We'll see after that if she can answer questions about what you can do with your VA loan. So, Veggie Farm, how are you doing? Good to see you. So true. I want to downsize in a few years, but I'm attached to this homestead, so we will be keeping the property forever. Listen, that is not a bad idea, Fifi. That's not a bad idea. I don't know, like Eco and I have had conversations about, selling this homestead that we're on, because we had a 20-acre property that was pretty much equivalent to ours around the corner, sell for like 30,000 more than what we ended up paying for our land. So, it's always a question, because like Miss Kendalyn said, honey, we gonna get this money. We're gonna get this money. And keeping your property, Fifi, is a fantastic idea, because you always have money in the bank when you have property. So, hey, Kendalyn.
Oh my gosh, I don't know what just happened.
It happens. And I'm telling you, that is why I came to my sister's house. Oh, okay.
Oh my goodness.
I came to my sister's house. We're going to wrap it up. Because we had a question though.
Okay. And I was going to say something about the landlord thing. So, I mean, not the landlord, the property manager thing. Okay. So to answer her question. So no, I do not have the personal experience of working with a property manager with us. But I do have a friend that does property management, and I have my cousin working with him. And that's been a great process, because he's living in DC, and so he's not able to be here to manage the property. So that helps, especially if you're going to be, if you want to be more hands off, and if you want to, if you're out of the area and can't go and check on the property and to do the different things.
Yeah, agreed. All right. And so here is a question from Miss Yankee Sister. She says she's a first time homeowner in her family generation, wants to think towards willing her home to her two children. And she used a VA. She is a veteran. And any thoughts on, with a VA loan, willing the property to her children?
So honestly, I'm not very familiar with VA loans. But when it comes to a situation of willing it to your kids, you should still be able to do that without the loan hindering it, especially if you're going to have money in a estate or trust account or something like that, life insurance to pay it off, if I'm understanding the question correctly. I'm sorry, this whole laptop thing just threw my whole brain off.
That's all right. That's all right. That's okay. That's okay. I know that you are a very busy woman, so I didn't want to keep you on too much longer than an hour anyway. But let's see. Oh, I've been watching on my big screen. Hey, Miss Native, but now my phone still just hanging in the bushes. That's all right. It's all right. Hey, Miss D, how you doing? So, Kendalyn, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being willing to come on with us. I need some connects, Kendalyn. I need some connects.
Let's do it, because literally, that's what it's all about. It's all about connections. It's all about getting in front of and talking to people, just to learn more and then to see what your options are. My biggest piece of advice, like I said in the beginning, is just to kind of know what it is that you want when it comes to investments. Also, diversify your investments. We don't just have homes. Like I said, we have the RV. We do stock through my husband's job. He works for Public, so that's an investment tool. We do things through our financial planner. So as you continue to grow, as you continue to build on your business or your legacy in itself, just getting the different professionals in place to help you with that. And I say that because everybody's not an expert in everything. So you have the ability to, meet with a financial advisor to make sure that all this new money that you have coming in is being utilized properly. That was a game changer for us, because we didn't make money before. And so when we started, that's how a lot of people go broke, right? When they go to the league or go to do these big things, when they, make it big and then, sign the big contract. But if you don't have the people in place to help you understand, like, okay, you got this new money now, do the right thing with it, then you won't. So it's all about knowing what you want, getting in front of the right people, and, just knowing what sounds right and what doesn't, and doing your own research. Never, ever, ever allow one person to be your end all be all for your business and your sustainability. Like, I hold my people accountable. Show me my CPA. Show me that you filed the extension. I want to see the email from the IRS. Show me the receipt that we paid. Show me this. Show me, because you don't want drama later.
Yes.
The whole point of investing and doing these things is to make your life better, so that one day you can have. Because my biggest thing is I want to make money while I'm asleep. I literally want my money to be working for me. So every night I go to sleep, I'm still getting some money from over there. The Airbnb making money over here. My stock is gaining interest over here. And so, to piggyback on what you said, if you like Prada, if you like the fancy things, don't deny yourself of those things. Just be a good steward of those things and say, okay, I have enough to buy the Prada bag, but do I need the Prada bag, the shoes, the belt, and the hat? Just decide. If your money will allow you to do that, then you do that. But also make sure that you are investing in yourself. Having the investment properties and having the investment income coming in, the extra income coming in, is not for you to be frivolous over it. It's for you to build. That's the point, at least for me. That's what it is for us, because I don't want to work until I'm 65. I don't. And if I do work until I'm 65, I want it to be because it's what I want to do. And I'm out here living my dream.
That part. You got to make your money work for you. So hey, if you want to buy that stuff. I remember seeing this. Oh, it's been a long time ago, but this guy was talking about that he had taken all of these J's that he had bought and he sold them and bought income producing property. So make it work for you. Do we have fun? Oh yeah, we have fun. Do we
Oh,
spend
yeah.
money? Oh yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah.
spend
I
money.
spend it.
And
But
every
I
time
make
you get
sure
ready to,
that the money I'm spending, the frivolous that I'm frivolousing, is the one I'm supposed to be doing it with, not the ones
that's
that's supposed to go for the other stuff.
that's right. That's right. And we're in the phase of our life where, if it don't make money, it don't make sense phase. So we're there now. We're totally there now. We learning how to be for last probably 10 years, learning how to be our own bank, and then for the big stuff, yeah, we going. Keep your credit right. Get your credit together. Make sure you're making your payments on time. You said something earlier. Let me backtrack to what you said earlier. You were saying that I was thinking, make sure that whatever you do, make sure that what I totally lost my point. You were talking. I'm trying to remember what you were talking about, and I felt it in my spirit. And why did I lose it? I lost it, Jesus. But anyway, let's talk. Somebody said they want to retire tomorrow, but it was about making your money work for you. Jay, I want to retire tomorrow as well. But the one thing that we are on is to make sure that you are absolutely in the position to be able to just do what you want to do. Even if I don't even have like I'm going to retire from a job type of thing, because I'm always looking at what is going to keep money coming, what's going to keep it coming, even when I'm doing that's where I was going. Even when I'm doing nothing, I want to make sure that the
Your
money is
money is doing something. That's right.
it's got to be still doing something. So thank you for hitting that. Thank you for going there and honing in on that point. But I definitely want to make sure that we do get together and we talk about some things, because we are in that space. We're in that season of our life where it just has to make sense for us. So thank you so much for coming in to visit. Um, Before we leave, any more questions for Miss Kendalyn before we leave? How you doing, Juicing with Jay? Good to see you. The Experience with Sassy. Hello, hello. How are you doing? Good to see you. I appreciate you being here. Any more questions before we get up out of here? Yes, Lord. I am blessed to live my life happy. Yes, that's the freedom. That's that freedom
That's what
that.
that's what I aim for every day. Like, I remember jokingly saying that I wanted to retire by the time I was 40.
Uh-huh.
Well, I turned 40 in April, so that didn't happen. But I do feel like, I am at a point where we've built something really, really great for ourselves, that will be beneficial for us in the next 20 years for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Y'all so young.
I know, we
Oh,
just little
is
babies.
she licensed? She's asking, is she licensed only in Florida? Licensed in what? She's not a realtor. Kendalyn is an investor. She's not a realtor.
Yeah, I'm not a
So
realtor. I don't have any licenses. I'm just a regular 9 to 5 employee that decided to make my 9 to 5 money work better for me.
yeah, y'all see that? You can do this with your job.
You can,
You
and
work
honestly,
hard
keep your job if you like your job, because
if you like
I
your
like my
job.
job, and
Keep your job.
my job does allow me to do a lot of the things that I like doing. Having that stable income allows me the freedom and the flexibility to be a little bit more adventurous with my investments, because I'm not having to 100% rely on my business's success for my everyday living. And that's another thing too that I wanted to make sure, like I told y'all, Russell's the visionary, right? He's the one that comes up with all these ideas. And then I'm the money piece where I'm like, okay, buddy, but listen, let's make sure, right? And I do that because my biggest thing is I say I don't ever want my money to have to support the business. The business needs to pay for the business, and we pay for us. And
That's called commingling.
thank God that has been able to be the thing for us. So,
Let me come back.
yep. Well, good. Look, at least it wasn't just me. I was like, this is made my brain go crazy.
Listen, things happen all the time on live stream, and that's why I'm always asking them, is everything okay on your end? That's why I do that. Make sure you can hear me, make sure you can see me well, because it happens. It just happens. That's just the way it goes sometimes. And right now, I'm not able to get back up.
It's okay. And then, another thing I was going to say about that too is baby steps, when we were, and then being okay with having things to change. That goes back to me with my little flow, right? Because last year when we ended up buying this house, the original plan was to fix up a home that, my husband's grandparents has given him. That was the original plan. And I'm not sure if you all remember, but during COVID and like all of the price of lumber went up so crazy ridiculous. That's why they weren't building new homes for a while and stuff like that. Or the new builds were like super expensive. So when we had contractors come out and different stuff, because it's a really old house, it was built in the 50s and small little house that we were going to turn into an Airbnb, and they started talking numbers, I was like, we can buy a new house for this. And that, as they say, the rest was history. My husband says, say less. And he went, and he even reached out to our realtor. Normally that's my job, is to reach out to the realtor, but he had text her and everything. So I was like, okay, I guess we doing this. So that's how we got here. And so that's the plan now. We're in the process of saving up money and looking for some good contractors and stuff to help fix up the other home, and that'll have us at four but 3 income producing.
I love it. Absolutely love it. You cannot ask for better than that. You can't ask for better than that. So I love the vision, and I love the teamwork and collaboration between the two of you, knowing your strengths, knowing where you're strong at, and, you do your thing, let him do his, come together as one and make something beautiful. So thank you so much.
And you guys all be encouraged. All be encouraged. Literally, I always say this, a little country girl from Wakulla, living in Tallahassee. And if you saw me, it would just be a regular old person, because I am still very much a regular old person, because it's just about creating little things that make you happy. And whatever that is, let it be that. Investment's not for everybody. If your dream is to, my mom, for example, she retired and started a wreath making business, and now she does mobile notary. And I think the mobile notary thing is like really great for her. So, whatever your niche is, like whatever your thing is, find that, make that work for you. And if the joy, everybody always likes to get on this thing, well, it's not about the money. It's not about the money. It is, because at the end of the day, even if you wanted to have a nonprofit, you got to go get sponsorships. You got to get people to support your vision. So whatever it is, you just got to make sure that you're putting yourself in position to make your dreams come true.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And on that note, I couldn't end it better. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Kendalyn, for coming in and sharing your knowledge with us. We appreciate you Oh, girl, I appreciate you so much more than you
Thanks for
even
thinking
know.
of me.
My goal is just to put the information out there so that the people who want the information will have it at their fingertips. They can go, they can listen to the video, they can take notes, and they will have the information. That's my only goal here. So thank you so much for coming in again. And I will see you at the bank.
Yes, you will. Oh, yeah, I'll have to text you. Yeah, because I'll be moving location soon, but I'll get you that information.
Okay, sounds
Okay.
good.
Okay.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you. You guys have a great one. Thanks for everyone that joined and the questions that were asked. And if you have future questions, I guess you can post them here, right? And then I'll pop in and later and take a look and answer them if I can. So thank you guys again for having me.
Absolutely. Appreciate
Good.
it. All right. See you later.
Thank you.
All right. All right, guys. That's going to be it for today. That was Kendalyn Staten Gordon, right in Tallahassee, Florida. So thank you all for coming through. Good Eats, how are you doing? Great live. Thank you. Ordinary Chick says, thank you, Gigi. This was informative. Thank you, Kendalyn, for sharing. Thank you all for coming in. I really appreciate you that you took the time to come in here to share out the stream with other people and just to come in to support Kendalyn being here and support the channel. So I appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you guys on the next live stream or video or something on the homestead. Bye, guys.